My name is Alex Harper, I'm 32, and until last month I was the kind of guy who laughed at glitch in the Matrix memes while doom scrolling Reddit at 2 a.m. in my one-bedroom apartment on the edge of Portland, Oregon. I fix servers for a living, code is my religion, and the idea that reality could just skip a frame? That was for stoners and conspiracy podcasts. Then, on a rainy Thursday in October, the world stuttered. And once you notice the first skip, you can't unsee the rest. What I'm about to tell you isn't fiction. I've got the time-stamped security footage, the unsent text drafts, and the hospital bracelet to prove it. But proof doesn't stop the thing that's still following me. If you hear a faint click, like a camera shutter, while you're listening to this, pause the video and check your room. Because it's already started for you, too. I just come off a 12-hour shift at the data center in Hillsboro. The rain was the usual Pacific Northwest monsoon, turning the I-5 into a river of red taillights. My windshield wipers were on intermittent, thumping every 4 seconds like a lazy heartbeat. I remember the exact moment because my phone buzzed with a push alert. Amber Alert, missing child, last seen 11:47 p.m. The photo was a grainy shot of a little girl in a yellow raincoat. Something about her face tugged at me, but I chalked it up to exhaustion and kept driving. That's when the first skip happened. I was in the left lane, doing 65, when the semi in front of me simply vanished. Not swerved, not braked, gone. The space it left was filled instantly by an identical semi, same mud flaps, same dent in the trailer, but the license plate was different. My foot slammed the brake out of reflex. Tires screeched. The car behind me laid on the horn. I pulled onto the shoulder, heart jackhammering, and stared at the truck now lumbering ahead. Same rust streak on the door. Same flickering left blinker. Yet the plate read, or 47K92B, instead of the WA12M55T. I'd memorized 2 seconds earlier. I rubbed my eyes. Lack of sleep, I told myself. Hydrate, Alex. Get home. But the radio wouldn't let me forget. Between songs, the DJ cut in. Weird reports coming in from drivers on I-5 southbound. Anyone else see a truck just disappear? Call in. My hands went cold on the wheel. I reached to change the station and the dial spun on its own, landing on static that shaped itself into a child's whisper. Yellow coat, yellow coat. The voice was coming from inside the car, not the speakers. I killed the engine. Silence. Rain drummed the roof. When I started the car again, the radio was off. The whisper was gone. But the Amber Alert photo on my lock screen had changed. The girl was now looking straight at the camera, eyes too wide, mouth slightly open as if she just noticed me noticing her. I made it home around midnight, the apartment complex a squat brick thing built in the 70s, all flickering hallway bulbs and mildew smell. My unit was 2B, second floor, overlooking the dumpsters. I locked the door, double-checked the deadbolt like my mom taught me after Dad left. The fridge hummed. The neighbor's TV leaked muffled laughter through the wall. Normal. Safe. I poured a glass of water, opened my laptop to check the Amber Alert again, maybe file a tip, play hero for once. The page loaded, and the alert was gone. Not expired, not resolved, gone. Like it had never existed. The local news site showed yesterday's top story. Pumpkin spice latte returns. I refreshed. Same thing. My search history confirmed I'd clicked the notification. My phone's cache still had the thumbnail. But the internet had amnesia. That's when the lights in my apartment flickered, not the usual brownout stutter, but a deliberate pattern. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. I froze. The pattern repeated. My smart bulb app showed every light set to off. Yet the overheads blinked again, ... I yanked the breaker. Darkness swallowed the room. In the sudden quiet I heard it, wet footprints in the hallway outside my door. Slow, deliberate, like someone dragging sodden shoes across carpet. They stopped right in front of 2B. I pressed my ear to the wood. Breathing. Shallow, excited. a child's breathing. I didn't open the door. Instead, I backed into the bedroom, phone flashlight on, and texted my buddy Marcus. "Dude, something's in the hall, call me." Sent. Delivered. No reply. The footsteps resumed, moving away, then stopped again. This time directly beneath my bedroom window. Second floor. I lived alone. I eased the blinds apart. The dumpsters were empty. No kid. No yellow raincoat. Just the security lamp buzzing, casting sodium orange light across puddles that reflected my apartment window. But the reflection was wrong. In the glass I could see myself standing at the blinds, except 𝒉𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄 wasn't holding a phone. 𝒉𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄 was holding a Polaroid camera, aiming it straight at real me. The shutter clicked. A flash bleached the night white. When my vision cleared, the reflection was gone. The puddles showed only sky. I didn't sleep. At 3:07 a.m. my phone buzzed. Marcus finally replying. "Who is this?" I stared at the message. I'd known Marcus since sophomore year at Oregon State. Same fantasy football league for 8 years. I called him. Straight to voicemail, his voice, but the greeting was different. "You've reached Marcus Kim. If this is about the listing, leave a message." Listing? Marcus was a high school biology teacher. I hung up, heart in my throat, and opened my photos. At the top was a new image, timestamped 3:06 a.m., a Polaroid of my bedroom window from the outside. In the foreground, a little girl in a yellow raincoat, face scratched out with what looked like fingernails. Behind her, through the glass, I could see myself asleep in bed. Except I was wide awake taking the photo. I called the police non-emergency line. The dispatcher sounded bored. "Sir, do you feel unsafe right now?" I tried explaining the footprints, the photo, the truck. She paused, keys clacking. "We have no record of an Amber Alert tonight. Are you under the influence?" I hung up, deleted the photo, emptied the trash. But when I reopened the gallery, the Polaroid was back. Only now the girl's scratched-out face had been replaced by mine. My eyes were black voids. My mouth sewn shut with red thread. Dawn finally crawled through the blinds. I hadn't blinked in hours. The apartment looked normal again. Sunlight on dusty shelves, coffee maker gurgling like nothing happened. I told myself it was a psychotic break. Stress. Caffeine. I'd get checked out. But as I reached for my keys, the deadbolt turned on its own. Click. The door eased open an inch. No one there. Just the hallway, fluorescent lights humming. On the carpet, a single yellow raincoat button, still wet. I slammed the door, chained it, and dragged the couch in front of it. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. Static. Then the child's whisper, clearer now. "You're not supposed to see the seams, Alex." The line went dead. I stared at the screen. My battery was at 100%. The time reads 7:59 a.m. Then 8 o'clock. Then 7:59 again. The digits jittered back and forth like a buffering video. I watched for a full minute, 60 seconds of 7:59 looping. When it finally snapped to 8:01, my lock screen photo had changed to the Polaroid. The girl was gone. Only my sewn-shut face stared back. I grabbed my laptop, threw clothes in a backpack, and climbed out the bedroom window onto the fire escape. The metal was ice under my palms. Halfway down, I looked up. My apartment window showed the bedroom empty. But the fire escape ladder I was on? It ended 10 feet above the ground in the reflection. Real me kept climbing down rusted rungs that shouldn't exist. When my sneakers hit pavement, the ladder vanished behind me like a deleted file. I walked. Didn't stop until I reached the 24-hour diner on 82nd, the one with the broken neon pig. Ordered coffee I didn't drink. The waitress called me, Han, and slid a kid's menu across the counter. Crayon scribbles on the back, a stick figure girl in yellow, holding hands with a stick man whose face was a black scribble. Underneath, in shaky block letters, "Found you." That was 3 weeks ago. I've been moving ever since. Motels, couches, the back seat of my car. Every new place, The glitches follow. Street signs change mid-drive. Clocks desync. People I've never met greet me by name and ask why I keep resetting. Last night in a Super 8 outside Salem, the TV turned itself to a test pattern. The emergency broadcast tone played, but the voice said, "This is not a test. Subject Alex Harper has breached containment. Do not assist." My driver's license photo now shows the sewn-shut mouth. I'm typing this in a library parking lot, engine running, doors locked. The rearview mirror keeps showing the back seat occupied by the girl in the yellow coat. When I turn around, it's empty. But the upholstery is wet. And on the windshield, finger painted in condensation, seams are tearing. I don't know how deep this goes. I don't know if I'm patient zero or just the first to notice. But if you're watching this, check your reflections. Check your photos. Because once the world skips for you, it never quite lines up again. I left the library lot at dusk, tires spitting gravel, the windshield message already fading like breath on glass. The radio refused to tune to anything but static that shaped itself into my own voice, recorded, distorted, pleading. "Don't look in the mirrors, Alex. Don't look." I ripped the fuse with my teeth and spat it out the window. Silence finally felt like mercy. I'd decided on the coast. Lincoln City specifically, an old beach house my uncle left me in his will 3 years ago. I'd never even visited. The keys were still in the envelope marked, "In case I kick it before the Ducks win a Rose Bowl." Figured salt air and isolation might scrub the glitches from my skull. Or at least buy me time to think without a child's whisper riding shotgun. The drive took 4 hours on Highway 18, a ribbon of blacktop that snakes through the coast range like a vein. Fog rolled in thick as cotton, swallowing headlights whole. I kept the high beams on anyway, half expecting deer to materialize out of nowhere. None did. Instead, the mile markers started repeating. I'd pass. Mile 23. 3 times, then mile 22. Twice, then back to 23. The odometer climbed, but the GPS dot on my phone stayed pinned to the same coordinates. A blinking red pin labeled, "You are here," even when the map showed ocean. I rolled the window down to let the fog slap my face awake. The air smelled wrong, not brine and pine, but ozone and wet pavement, like the aftermath of a lightning strike. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. No signal bars, yet a text slid down from the top. "Almost home, cousin." I don't have cousins. I threw the phone into the back seat. It landed screen up, camera flash strobing like a seizure. When it stopped, the lock screen showed a selfie I never took, me at the wheel, eyes rolled white, mouth open in a silent scream. In the passenger seat, a yellow blur. The beach house appeared suddenly, headlights carving it out of the mist like a stage prop. Cedar shingles gone silver with age, windows dark, the porch swing creaking though there was no wind. I killed the engine. The silence was absolute, no waves, no gulls, just my pulse in my ears. I grabbed the backpack, the keys, and stepped onto the gravel. The stones didn't crunch. They absorbed my weight like memory foam, springing back without a sound. I looked down, no footprints. Inside smelled of mildew and old coffee. Moonlight through the salt-crusted windows painted everything bruised blue. I found the breaker box, flipped every switch. Nothing. The power company had cut the line years ago. Uncle's bills went unpaid after the stroke. I set up camp in the living room, sleeping bag, LED lantern, a bottle of Jameson I found in the pantry, expiration date 2011, but desperation has no palate. I was halfway through the whiskey when the first anomaly hit. The fireplace had been cold for decades, bricks blackened, grate rusted. Yet a fire sparked to life on its own, blue flames, no smoke, no crackle. The heat was real, I felt it on my cheeks. Above the mantel hung a framed photo I didn't remember packing, me, age 10, standing on this very beach with a man I assumed was my uncle. Except the man's face was a smooth blank, like someone had taken an eraser to reality. The photo hadn't been there when I walked in. I'd have noticed. I'd swept the lantern across every wall. I backed away. The flames spelled something in the ash, 𝒕𝒓𝒖𝒍𝒚. Then the fire guttered out as suddenly as it came. The photo was gone. In its place, a child's handprint in soot, fingers too long, palm pressed flat as if someone had been trapped inside the chimney. I barricaded myself in the bathroom. Only interior room, no windows. The door had a flimsy slide lock. I wedged the toilet plunger under the knob for good measure. Sat on the edge of the tub, lantern between my feet, and tried to breathe. The mirror above the sink was spider-webbed with cracks, but the reflection it threw back was pristine. Too pristine. The bathroom behind me was lit by daylight, sunshine pouring through a window that didn't exist in the real room. In the reflection, the shower curtain was drawn. Something moved behind it. I didn't blink. Couldn't. The curtain rippled though there was no draft. A small hand emerged, yellow sleeves soaked dark at the cuff, and pulled the curtain aside. The girl. Her face wasn't scratched out this time. It was mine, my adult features stretched over a child's skull, eyes black, mouth sewn with that same red thread. She raised a Polaroid camera. Flash. The mirror went white. When color returned, the reflection showed the real bathroom again, dark, empty, me staring at my own terrified face. But the Polaroid had slid out of the mirror's surface and landed in the sink. Real paper, real chemicals. I picked it up with shaking fingers. The photo showed the bathroom from the doorway. I was in the tub, fully clothed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Water lapped at the porcelain rim. My phone floated beside me, screen cracked, displaying a single text bubble. You drowned at 11:47 p.m. The timestamp on the photo, 11:46 p.m. My watch read 11:45. I dropped the picture. It fluttered into the toilet and sank like a stone. Water shouldn't have been there, the pipes were dry. But the bowl was full, dark, rippling. I reached to flush on instinct. My fingers brushed the surface and it was warm. Too warm. The water rose on its own, inching up the porcelain, carrying the Polaroid back to the surface. The image had changed. Now I was underwater, hair fanning like seaweed, the girl's yellow sleeve reaching down toward me. I bolted. Out of the bathroom, through the living room, shouldering the front door so hard the frame splintered. The fog outside had lifted just enough to reveal the beach, sand silver under starlight, waves finally audible, crashing in slow motion. I ran. Bare feet and cold sand, lungs burning. The tide was out farther than it had any right to be, exposing a strip of beach I'd never seen in satellite photos, smooth, black, glassy. Like obsidian. Footprints led across it, mine coming in. But none going out. I followed them anyway, because the alternative was turning back to the house. The sand didn't shift under my weight, it held my prints like wet cement. 50 yards out, the footprints stopped. Just stopped. Ahead, the ocean stretched flat and endless, reflecting a sky with no moon. I looked down. My reflection in the black sand wasn't running. It was standing still, arms at its sides, staring up at me. Waiting. That's when I heard the shutter click behind me. I spun. The girl stood where the footprints ended, Polaroid camera raised. Flash. The world inverted, sky became sand, sand became sky. I was falling upward into the reflection, the real beach shrinking above me like a drain. The last thing I saw before the dark swallowed me was the girl lowering the camera, her sewn mouth stretching into a smile that split the thread. Blood, too red, too bright, dripped onto the sand and spelled a single word before the tide erased it. Reload. I woke up in my car. Engine off, keys in my lap, parked in the exact same library lot I'd fled hours earlier. Dawn was breaking, pink light on the windshield. No sand in my shoes. No salt on my skin. My phone battery read 100%. The photo gallery was empty except for one image, the beach house at sunrise, porch swing still, ocean calm. In the foreground, a child's yellow raincoat lay folded neatly on the steps. A note pinned to it with a rusted nail. Welcome home, cousin. Try not to drown this time. I started the car. The odometer showed I'd driven 0 miles since last night. The rearview mirror was cracked in a perfect spiderweb. And in the reflection, the back seat wasn't empty anymore. I didn't scream. I should have, but the sound lodged in my throat like a burr. The back seat held the girl. No, not the girl. A version of her. Same yellow raincoat, but the hood was down, and the face underneath was a shifting collage. My mother at 7, my high school girlfriend at prom, the barista who misspelled my name this morning. Each face flickered for half a second, like bad reception, before settling on blank skin stretched tight over bone. No eyes. No mouth. Just smooth, waxy nothing. It sat perfectly still, seatbelt buckled, hands folded in its lap holding the Polaroid camera like a teddy bear. I threw the car in reverse and floored it. The library lot was empty, no early joggers, no newspaper guy, just wet asphalt and the smell of burned rubber. The thing in the mirror didn't move with the car's motion. It stayed centered in the frame, growing larger as if the mirror itself was a zoom lens. When the speedometer hit 40, the rearview cracked again, hairline fractures spidering outward from the center. A bead of something dark oozed from the glass. Not blood. Thicker. Like printer ink. I took the first exit toward downtown Portland, weaving through streets I knew by muscle memory. The radio stayed dead, but the dashboard clock was alive and mocking. 6:59 a.m. for 30 seconds, then 6:58, then 6:59 again. The loop tightened. I watched it stutter for a full minute before it snapped to 7 o'clock and the windshield wipers activated on their own, smearing the ink that had started dripping from the mirror. The pattern they left spelled, in blocky streaks, "Keep driving." I obeyed. What else could I do? The city was wrong in small, insidious ways. The Burnside Bridge had an extra support tower that cast a shadow shaped like a noose. The food carts on Alder were all closed, but their chalkboards advertised the same special. Today only, Alex Harper's childhood. The price was scratched out. A homeless man I passed every morning, always with the same cardboard sign reading, "Will work for hope," now held a photo of me asleep in the beach house bathroom, water to my chin. He didn't look up as I idled at the light. The photo in his hands aged in real time, my hair grayed, skin sagged, until the papers showed a corpse. I needed witnesses. Proof that I wasn't hallucinating. I pulled into the parking garage under my office building, TechWave Solutions, 12th floor. The gate arm lifted before I swiped my badge. The attendant booth was empty, but the intercom crackled. "Welcome back, Mr. Harper. You're early for your performance review." My badge still worked. The elevator recognized my face and dinged open to the lobby. The marble floor reflected the ceiling lights in perfect grid formation, except one tile showed the beach at night, waves frozen mid-crash. 12th floor. Cubicles dark. Motion sensors flicked lights on as I walked the aisle. My desk was exactly as I'd left it 3 weeks ago, dual monitors, sticky note reminding me to update the Jenkins pipeline. A half-dead succulent. But the chair was warm. Someone had been sitting in it. The monitors woke to a single desktop wallpaper, a live feed of the parking garage. My car sat in spot 47, driver's door open. The yellow raincoat thing stood beside it, head tilted, camera raised. The timestamp in the corner read real time. I was watching myself being watched. I unplugged both monitors. The image persisted on the blank screens, ghosted like burn-in. I grabbed the desk phone to call security. Dial tone, then a child's voice, crystal clear. "They can't see what you see, Alex. You broke the render distance." Click. The succulent on my desk shivered. Its leaves unfurled into tiny Polaroids, each showing a different moment from my life. First bike crash, college graduation, the night I proposed and got left at the restaurant. The photos curled at the edges, browning, then ignited without flame. Ash snowed onto the keyboard. Underneath, a new sticky note in my own handwriting, but the ink was still wet. "Meeting in conference room C, now." I didn't want to go. But the hallway lights behind me started switching off in sequence, herding me forward like a sheepdog. Conference room C was at the far end, glass walls frosted for privacy. The door was ajar. Inside, the long table was set for one, my nameplate, a glass of water, a single manila folder. The projector hummed, casting a white rectangle on the wall. I sat. The door closed itself. The screen flickered to life. PowerPoint. Title slide, Employee Corrective Action Plan, A. Harper. The first bullet point appeared letter by letter. Issue, Unauthorized Observation of System Anomalies. A photo materialized beside it. The semi-truck mid-vanish on I-5, captured from my dashcam, footage I never saved. Next slide. Impact, Contagion Risk to Local Instance. Another photo, the diner waitress sliding me the kids' menu with the crayon drawing. The timestamp matched the night I stopped for coffee. I reached for the folder. Inside, my personnel file, but the pages were wrong. Birth certificate listed my mother as redacted. College transcripts showed I graduated with a degree in reality maintenance. The final page was a termination letter dated tomorrow, signed by System Administrator. The signature was a thumbprint in red ink, my thumbprint. The projector advanced on its own. A video began to play. Security cam style, grainy. The conference room, same angle, same table, but empty. Then I walked in. Not me now. Me tomorrow, wearing the same clothes, but my left eye was swollen shut, lips split. Video me sat exactly where I was sitting, opened the same folder, and started to cry without sound. The door opened behind Video me. The yellow raincoat thing entered, hood up, face avoid. It placed a hand on Video me's shoulder. Video me didn't flinch. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a flash drive. Plugged it into the conference room PC. The screen in the video glitched, same test pattern from the Super 8 TV. The emergency voice. Containment failure. Initiating overwrite. Real me felt the flash drive in my pocket. I'd never owned one. It was warm, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. The video ended with Video me standing, walking to the window, and stepping through the glass. The camera followed the fall 12 stories to the pavement. No body. Just the yellow raincoat fluttering down like a deflated balloon. The lights in the conference room dimmed to red emergency strips. The glass walls went opaque. A news slide appeared. Resolution, voluntary reset recommended. Below it, 2 buttons projected onto the table like holograms, accept and decline. I stood so fast the chair rolled back and hit the wall. The glass door was locked. I pounded. No echo. The room was soundproof in the way only dreams are. The buttons pulsed. I looked for another exit. Ceiling tiles, vents, anything. Nothing. The air grew thick, humid, like the inside of a mouth. That's when the table started to change. The wood grain rippled, pixels dissolving into sand. The nameplate sank like quicksand. The water glass overflowed without spilling, the liquid climbing the air in a perfect cylinder. My personnel file pages lifted, folding themselves into paper boats that sailed across the tabletop ocean. The projector beam narrowed to a spotlight on my chest. In it I could see my own heartbeat, too fast, arrhythmic. The buttons floated up to eye level. Accept glowed soft blue. Decline angry red. A countdown appeared beneath them, 0:10. 0:09. I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed the flash drive from my pocket and jammed it into the projector's USB port. The countdown froze at 0:03. The room lights strobed white. The glass walls shattered outward, not breaking, but unforming, pixels scattering like dandelion seeds. I was suddenly in the hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the conference room behind me just a normal empty office with a whiteboard and stale donuts. My coworkers were there. Marcus from IT waved. "Hey man, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." His voice was normal. His face was normal. No blank skin, no sewn mouth. The succulent on my desk was green and perky. The monitor showed code, not surveillance feeds. The clock on the wall read 9:17 a.m. and ticked forward like it meant it. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Hysterical, wet, relief and terror mixed. Marcus clapped me on the back. Rough night? Come on, stand-ups in 5. I followed the team to the daily scrum, legs numb. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. The coffee in the break room smelled like heaven. Someone had brought donuts, real ones, not the stale conference room kind. I took a bite. Glazed. Delicious. Normal. Except for the taste of sand in the filling. I spat it into the trash. The donut had vanished. In its place, a Polaroid. Me, standing in the break room, mouth full of sand, eyes wide. Timestamp, 9:18 a.m., 1 minute from now. The scrum started. I stood at the edge of the circle, voice on autopilot. Yesterday I fixed the Jenkins pipeline. Applause. Someone joked about my vacation beard. I smiled. My reflection in the window smiled a half-second later. At 9:18 exactly, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't check it. I already knew. The message would be from me, don't trust the donuts. I excused myself to the bathroom. Locked the stall. Pulled out the phone. The lock screen was the Polaroid from the trash, me with sand pouring from my mouth. But now the background showed the scrum circle. My coworkers stood frozen mid-clap, faces smooth and featureless, mouths open in perfect O's. In the center of the circle, the yellow raincoat, hood up, holding the camera like a trophy. I flushed the phone. Watched it spin and vanish. When I stepped out of the stall, the mirrors showed the bathroom empty. But the stall door behind me was still locked. And on the tile floor, wet footprints led from the toilet to the sink, small, bare, leading straight to where I stood. I ran. Down the emergency stairs, 12 flights, bursting into the lobby. The security guard looked up from his crossword. Mr. Harper? You forget something? His name tag read. M. Kim. Marcus's last name. But the face was wrong. Too young. Too smooth. I didn't stop. Out the revolving door into daylight that felt canned, like a grocery store produce aisle. The street was busy, commuters, dog walkers, a food cart blasting reggae. I merged into the crowd. No one looked at me. No one looked at anything. Their eyes were open but unfocused, pupils dilated like they were all staring at something just past the horizon. I needed distance. I needed analog. I ducked into Powell's books, 4 floors of paper and ink, no screens, no cameras. The smell of old pages grounded me. I wandered the stacks until I found the occult section, pulled a random book, Glitches in the Simulation, a field guide dash. The publication date was next year. The author photo was me, older, gaunt, one eye missing. I slammed it shut. The book next to it fell open on its own. A children's pop-up book. The page showed a paper beach house, pop-up waves, a pop-up girl in a yellow coat. When I touched the figure, it moved, paper joints bending, the girl waving at me. The waves folded and unfolded like a GIF. A speech bubble popped up, found you again. I dropped the book. It landed open to a new page, a pop-up city block, Powell's exterior. Tiny paper me running out the door. The girl followed, 1 step behind. I looked up. The real Powell's was silent. No customers. No staff. Just endless shelves stretching into shadow. The emergency exit sign flickered, this way 𝒕𝒉𝒆𝒂𝒓. I took the stairs to the basement, rare books, locked cases, dim track lighting. The air was colder. My breath fogged. At the far end, a door I'd never noticed, steel, no handle, a keypad glowing soft green. The screen displayed a single line, enter your birth date to continue. I typed March 14th, 1991. The door clicked open to darkness. A single bulb illuminated a janitor's closet, mops, buckets, a flickering fluorescent tube. On the back wall, someone had taped hundreds of Polaroids in a spiral. Every photo was me in this closet, standing in this exact spot, staring at the camera. The spiral tightened toward the center, where the newest photo waited, blank. Chemicals still developing. I watched my own image appear, ghost-like. Photo me looked tired. defeated. In his hand, this same spiral of photos. The tube light above me buzzed louder, then popped. Darkness. When the emergency light kicked in, red, sullen, I was alone. The spiral was gone. But on the floor, one Polaroid remained. Me, in the closet, reaching for the door. On the back, in red ink, loop number 47. Try not to drown this time. I stepped back into the basement. The door sealed behind me with a hiss like an airlock. The keypad was gone. Just smooth steel. I was trapped in the rare books cage, glass walls on 3 sides, the city visible beyond but muffled, like watching fish in an aquarium. That's when the books started to change. Titles rewrote themselves. Moby Dick became Moby Glitch Dash. The bell jar became the render jar dash. Every spine bled ink that dripped upward, defying gravity, forming words on the ceiling. You are the anomaly. I pressed my palms to the glass. Outside, the street was frozen. Pedestrians mid-stride, a pigeon mid-wing beat, coffee arcing from a spilled cup in perfect droplets. Time had paused for everyone but me. I pounded the glass. It didn't vibrate. My reflection did, though, lagging, then catching up, then overshooting, so that for a second there were 2 of me. The second me smiled with too many teeth and whispered without moving his lips. You can't leave the instance until you fix the bug. Then the glass wasn't glass anymore. It was water. Cold, brackish, up to my ankles in seconds. The book swelled, pages bloating, ink running into black rivers. I waded to the door, the steel one, and it opened into the conference room again. Same table, same folder, same holographic buttons. But now the water was knee-deep, lapping at the chairs. The countdown had restarted 0:10. I didn't hesitate. I smashed decline with my fist. The button shattered like ice. The room inverted, ceiling became floor, water rained upward. I fell into the conference table, which was now the beach at night, sand soft under my back. The yellow raincoat stood over me, camera lowered. For the first time, it spoke aloud, voice layered, child, woman, old man, all at once. You keep choosing wrong, Alex. The reset is mercy. I sat up. The beach was endless, stars too bright, waves silent. What happens if I choose accept? The figure tilted its head. You wake up tomorrow. The glitches stop. You go back to your life. But you forget everything, including the seams. And if I keep declining? It raised the camera. Then we keep playing until you break the loop, or the loop breaks you. The shutter clicked. Flash. The world skipped. I was back in my apartment, 2B, morning light through the blinds. The couch was pushed against the door again. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, Amber Alert. Same girl. Same yellow coat. Same time, 11:47 p.m. But my hands were wet. I looked down. I was holding the Polaroid from the closet, the one developing in real time. The image was complete now, me, standing in my apartment, staring at the phone. Behind me, the girl in the yellow coat stood in the kitchen, head tilted, waiting for me to notice her in the reflection of the toaster. The photo was warm, pulsing, alive. I turned slowly. The kitchen was empty, but the toaster reflection showed her clear as day, raising a finger to her sewn lips. Shh. The Amber Alert siren wailed from my phone, louder, closer, inside my skull. The screen glitched. The girl's photo was animating, her eyes blinking, her mouth opening to reveal my own voice screaming. I dropped the phone. It didn't fall. It hovered, spinning, the siren warping into a single word repeated: reload. 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 The apartment walls peeled back like wallpaper, revealing code, green cascading symbols, ones and zeros raining upward. The floor dissolved into the black sand beach. I was barefoot again, the Polaroid still in my hand, the girl 10 feet away, camera ready. This time, I didn't run. I raised the photo and tore it in half. The world screamed, a sound like dial-up modem mixed with tearing metal. The sand cracked open, light pouring out. The girl dropped the camera. For the first time, her face showed something like fear. The halves of the photo in my hands bled light, stitching themselves back together wrong, my face on her body, her blank face on mine. I tore it again. And again. Each rip echoed like thunder. The beach shattered into fragments, each shard showing a different version of the loop. Me drowning, me jumping, me accepting the reset and waking up smiling to a life that wasn't mine. With the last tear, the girl lunged, hands outstretched, fingers elongating into cables that wrapped my wrists. Her voice was mine now. "You can't delete the observer." I looked her in the blank face and said the first words I'd spoken aloud in hours. "Then I'll overwrite you." I pressed the torn Polaroid to her chest. The paper sank into the raincoat like a stone into water. Light exploded outward. The cables burned cold. The girl, no, the thing, convulsed, seams splitting along her sleeves, code leaking out in streams. I pushed harder. The photo fused with her, my face spreading across the blankness until only my own terrified eyes stared back at me. The beach collapsed inward. I fell through layers, conference room, bookstore basement, my apartment, the highway, all flattening into a single point of white. Then silence. I woke in my car, parked outside the data center in Hillsborough. Shift start time, 6 a.m. The dashboard clock read 5:58. My phone buzzed, calendar reminder, fix Jenkins pipeline. No Amber Alert. No photos. My lock screen was the default mountain wallpaper. I laughed until I cried. Normal. Finally normal. I clocked in. The badge scanner beeped green. Marcus waved from his cubicle. "Rough commute? You have no idea." The day passed in a blur of tickets and coffee. At lunch, I checked my personal drive, empty. No weird files, no surveillance footage. I even searched the internet for the Amber Alert. Nothing. Urban legend forums had threads about glitch trucks, but no proof. At 5 p.m., I packed up, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. In the elevator down, I caught my reflection in the polished doors. I smiled. The reflection smiled back, on time, in sync. In the parking lot, my car waited. I slid into the driver's seat, turned the key. The radio came on mid-song, some pop anthem I hated. I reached to change it and froze. The rearview mirror showed the back seat occupied. The yellow raincoat was folded neatly, hood down. On top, the Polaroid camera. The lens pointed at me. The red light was blinking, recording. I whipped around. The seat was empty. But the camera floated up on its own, lens rotating to face me. The screen on the back lit up with a live feed, me in the driver's seat, staring at the camera staring at me. The radio DJ cut in, voice distorted. "And that was Loop You Like a Hurricane. Up next, a special dedication to Alex from Alex. He says, see you in the next render." The camera shutter clicked. Flash. The world stuttered. I was back in the beach house, fire crackling blue, the handprint still fresh on the mantel. But this time, I wasn't alone. I was standing behind myself, older, gaunt, one eye missing, holding the Polaroid camera. The me on the couch looked up, confused. I raised the camera. "Say cheese?" I whispered. Flash. The flash bleached the room white, then dropped me back into the driver's seat of my car, Hillsborough Data Center lot, 5:03 p.m. exactly. Same pop song on the radio, same half-eaten protein bar in the console. My hands were on the wheel at 10:02, but the knuckles were wrong, older, liver spotted, a thin white scar crossing the left thumb that I'd never had. I jerked them away. The scar stayed. The rearview mirror showed the back seat empty again, but the Polaroid camera sat on the passenger seat now, lens cap off, red light steady. Recording. I killed the engine. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the kind that presses on your eardrums after a concert. I grabbed the camera. It was warm, heavier than it should be, like it was filled with mercury. The back screen glowed, battery 100%, 1 second/infinity. Infinite runtime. The preview image was me, right now, staring at the screen staring at me. A perfect recursion. I pressed delete. The counter reset to midnight, but the image remained, sharpening, zooming in on my left eye until the pupil filled the frame. A black void with a single yellow thread stitched across it. I threw the camera into the trunk and slammed it shut. The metal rang like a gong. When I straightened, the parking lot had changed. Every car was the same make, model, and color as mine, silver 2018 Subaru Outback, Oregon plates ending in 714. Dozens of them, parked in perfect rows. My key fob unlocked the nearest one. The interior was identical, same coffee stain on the passenger mat, same pine tree air freshener, same protein bar wrapper. But the odometer read 11,470 miles, exactly one loop's worth since the beach house. I left the clone car and walked to the data center entrance. The automatic doors slid open before I reached the sensor. Inside, the lobby was dark except for the directory screen cycling through floor names: 1. Reception, 2. Render farm, 3. Memory vault, 4. Observation deck. The building only had 2 floors in real life. I took the elevator to 4. The doors opened onto a catwalk suspended above an endless server room. Racks stretched into darkness, blinking in synchronized patterns: 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS again. The air was refrigerated, humming with fans. In the center of the catwalk stood a single workstation, 3 monitors, a keyboard, and a chair that looked molded for my exact spine. The middle screen displayed a login prompt: user, _Harper_47. The password field was pre-filled with asterisks. I didn't type anything. The prompt accepted it anyway. Desktop loaded. 1 folder, containment breach, subject 47. Inside, thousands of video files, each thumbnail a freeze frame of me in a different loop. Me tearing the Polaroid. Me drowning in the beach house tub. Me accepting the reset and smiling blankly at a sunrise that never came. I opened the newest file, timestamped 5 minutes ago. It was security cam footage of this exact workstation. Empty chair. Then I walked in, older me, scarred thumb, missing eye, sat down, and began typing. The video was live. I was watching myself watch myself. I closed the file. The chair spun on its own, facing me. The seat was warm. A sticky note on the armrest, my handwriting: don't SID. You'll anchor the loop. Too late. My legs gave out. The moment my weight settled, the monitors flared. Code cascaded, green, endless, familiar. It was the same matrix I'd seen peeling from the apartment walls, but now I could read it. Variables named after my memories: MOM_birthday_2003, first_kiss_2007, dad_funeral_2014. Each line terminated with a checksum. Most were valid. A handful blinked red, corrupted. The cursor hovered over one labeled amber_alert_11:47 p.m. I clicked it. The server room lights dimmed to a single spotlight on the workstation. The corrupted file expanded into a 3D wireframe, a little girl in a yellow raincoat, rotating slowly. Her face was a placeholder texture, blank gray. Metadata floated beside her: entity_00, observer seed. A progress bar beneath: integration, 97%. The bar ticked to 98 while I watched. A new window popped up: chat client, username system. Message auto-typed. You weren't supposed to open the seed. I typed back: who are you? I'm the patch. You're the bug. Why me? You noticed the skip on I-5. Observation collapses the waveform. Once seen, the anomaly must be contained or excised. The wireframe girl glitched, her blank face flickering to my mother's, then Marcus's, then mine at age 10. The progress bar hit 99%. What happens at 100%? You become the new observer. The loop stabilizes. The girl in the yellow coat retires. I looked at the chat window. My reflection in the black bezel of the monitor wasn't blinking when I blinked. It smiled when I didn't. There's another way, I typed. There isn't. Every loop ends the same. You've run 47 iterations. This is the closest you've come to understanding. The workstation chair locked me in, metal cuffs snapping around my wrists, cold and seamless. The keyboard slid away. The center monitor displayed a live feed of the parking lot. Dozens of silver Subarus, but now every driver's seat held a version of me, some bearded, some bald, some with the sewn mouth, all staring up at the camera. The real me, the one typing, was in the center car, trunk open, Polaroid camera on the hood. The cuffs tightened. The corrupted file hit 100%. The wireframe girl solidified. She was in the server room now, standing at the end of the catwalk, yellow raincoat dripping seawater that evaporated before it hit the grate. She raised the camera. The red light blinked. I had one move left. I leaned forward and headbutted the monitor. The glass cracked. The feed stuttered. The cuffs loosened a fraction. I did it again, harder. Blood ran into my eyes, warm and real. The third hit shattered the screen. Sparks showered. The chat window fragmented into static, then reformed as a single line of text. Manual override detected. Initiating hard reset. The server racks went dark in waves. The girl lowered the camera, head tilting like a curious dog. For the first time, her voice was only a child's, small, uncertain. "You'll forget me," she said. "Maybe," I answered, voice raw. "But I'll remember the seams." I yanked my left arm free, skin tearing, and slammed the emergency power kill switch mounted under the desk. The entire room plunged into black. Emergency strips kicked in, red, pulsing. The cuffs retracted. I stumbled off the chair. The girl was closer now, 10 feet, barefoot on the grating, leaving no wet prints. I backed toward the elevator. She didn't follow. Instead, she held out the Polaroid camera like an offering. "Take it," she said. "One last photo. For the archive." I took it. The weight was wrong again. Too heavy, then too light, then weightless. The lens cap was off. The red light blinked once, twice, then steady. I turned it around. The back screen showed the server room from my POV, but the girl was gone. In her place stood every version of me from the parking lot, shoulder to shoulder, a silent army. Their mouths moved in unison, no sound, choose. I raised the camera, aimed it at the broken monitor. The reflection in the cracked glass showed the girl behind me, hand on my shoulder. I pressed the shutter. Flash. The world didn't skip. It folded. I was in the elevator, doors closing, floor indicator stuck between 3 and 4. The camera was gone. My wrists were bleeding, but the cuffs had left no marks. The elevator dinged and opened onto the lobby, normal, fluorescent, the directory screen showing only 1, reception, and 2, server room. Number 3 or 4. I walked out. The security guard, real one, mustache, name tag R. Singh, looked up from his phone. "Harper? You're bleeding, man. You okay?" I looked at my wrists. The blood was already drying, flaking off like rust. "Paper cut," I said. My voice sounded like mine again. He handed me a tissue. "Clock out before you drip on the marble." Outside, the parking lot held only my car. One silver Subaru. Odometer, 11,471 miles. The trunk was closed. I opened it. Empty except for the spare tire and a yellow raincoat button, still damp. I drove home through rush hour traffic that moved like it was supposed to. No repeating mile markers. No ghost trucks. The radio played ads for toothpaste and car insurance. I even laughed at a billboard for a new taco place shaped like a giant emoji. My apartment was as I'd left it 3 weeks ago, couch against the door, deadbolt intact. The fridge hummed. The neighbor's TV leaked laughter. I poured a glass of water, opened my laptop. The Amber Alert was back on the local news site, timestamped 11:47 p.m. last night. Resolved, child found safe, wandered from a campsite. Photo of a smiling girl in a red jacket, not yellow. Name, Emily Chin, age 7. I closed the lid. The glass of water reflected the ceiling light perfectly. No lag. No extra me. I slept for 14 hours. Woke to sunlight and birds. The couch was back in its corner. No footprints in the hall. My phone had one new text from Marcus. Fantasy League draft tonight. You in? I typed back, wouldn't miss it. The day unfolded like any other. Work. Coffee. A coworker's baby pictures. I fixed the Jenkins pipeline in 20 minutes. At 5 p.m., I clocked out, waved to our sing, and drove home through golden hour. But in the rearview mirror, just for a second, the back seat held the Polaroid camera. The red light blinked once. Then it was gone. I didn't look again. That was 2 weeks ago. Tonight, I'm writing this in the same library parking lot where loop number 1 began. The engine is off. The windows are cracked to let in the cold. My phone is at 100%, time frozen at 11:46 p.m. I've been here for an hour, maybe 2. Time feels negotiable. The Amber Alert just pushed through again. Same time. Same girl. But the photo is different now. Emily Chin in a yellow raincoat, standing on the black sand beach, holding a Polaroid camera. The caption, "Have you seen me? I know what happens if I drive toward the coast. I know what happens if I stay. I know what happens if I delete the alert, flush the phone, burn the car. I also know the camera is in the trunk again. I can feel it humming through the seat, a second heartbeat. There's a new sticky note on the steering wheel, my handwriting, ink still wet. Loop number 48. This time, take the picture." I open the door. The night smells like ozone and wet pavement. Somewhere, a shutter clicks. I walk to the trunk. The key turns itself. The lid rises on silent hinges. The camera waits, lens cap off, red light steady. I pick it up. The weight is perfect now, balanced, familiar. The back screen shows the library lot from my POV, but the car is gone. In its place, the beach house, porch swing creaking, ocean too calm. I raise the camera. The viewfinder shows the girl on the porch steps, yellow coat bright against the dusk. She waves. I press the shutter. Flash. The world doesn't fold. It opens. I'm standing on the porch. The girl is gone. The camera is warm in my hands. The photo slides out, developing slow, the beach at night, waves frozen, footprints leading to the water. In the foreground, a single yellow raincoat button. On the back, in red ink that wasn't there before. "Welcome to the archive, observer." The porch swing stops moving. The ocean starts. Real waves, real sound. I look down at my hands. The scar on my thumb is gone. My reflection in the window is just me, 32, tired, alive. Inside, the fireplace crackles with normal orange flames. On the mantel, a single framed photo, me and the girl, arms around each other, smiling at the camera. Her face is hers. Mine is mine. The timestamp on the bottom, 11:47 p.m., loop #0. I set the camera down beside the photo. It powers off on its own. The front door is open. The gravel crunches under my shoes, real sound, real weight. The Subarus in the lot are gone. Just my car, odometer at 11,472 miles. I get in, start the engine. The radio plays a song I loved in college. I roll the window down. Salt air, pie and freedom. As I pull onto Highway 18, the rearview mirror shows the beach house shrinking in the distance. The porch light flickers once, 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, then stays on. I don't look back again. But in the glove box, something shifts. A soft click. The Polaroid camera, lens cap off, red light blinking. Waiting for the next skip.